Today we're going to be reviewing the EV700, a 32 amp home charging station by TurnOnGreen. We're going to go over all the features, put it through our usual test, show you how to install the unit, and as always, give you our final ratings. We'll start off with an unboxing so you see exactly what comes with the unit. But first, please don't forget, click that subscribe button and ring the notification bell so you don't miss any upcoming content here on State of Charge. Okay, so let's take a look at what's in the box. First up, we have the installation guide. Then there's the body of the unit. As you can see, it's kind of a medium-sized unit. It's very thin. It's only about 3.5 inches thick, which is pretty good. I like it when the stations don't come off the wall too much, but it is rather big. It looks like it's about 15 inches by about 10 inches wide, so it's not a small unit, but the fact that it has the integrated connector holster does mean that the unit is probably a little bit elongated because of that, which we do like integrated connector holsters. Then there are the mounting screws. There's 4 mounting screws. Those mount the mounting plate to the wall, and the unit kind of just hangs on that. We're going to take a look at that next. There's also 2 keys that open the unit. It has a lock on it that allows you to open up and take a look inside just with the twist of a key. I like that feature. And then there's also 2 RFID cards that come with the unit that we're going to get into a little bit later. I'll tell you what those do. The EV700 mounts to the wall very easily. Let's take a look at how that's done. Here in the back, you'll see there's a mounting plate that kind of just hangs on the back of the unit. This is the mounting plate here. You would just attach this to the wall. You can see there's 4 holes here for you to secure it to the wall. Then the unit just kind of hangs on it. Now you'll notice here on the bottom, there is a hole on this little angle bracket here. There's a matching angle bracket on the back of the unit itself, and that allows you to put a little lock in there if you want. Now you wouldn't need to do that if it's inside someone's private garage and you're just going to be using it yourself. But this unit also works well for multi-unit dwellings, for apartment complexes where it might be in a common area. Somebody could just lift it off the bracket and steal it if there's no lock down there. So if this is mounted outside somewhere or in some sort of common area where multiple people use it, make sure that you put a lock on the bottom so that nobody just unplugs it and walks away. Now, once you've attached your mounting plate to the wall, the EV700 just simply hangs on top of that bracket. Okay, now from here, there's no cable management system with the EV700. It's one of the things I like to see, but they don't include it. So you'd probably want to purchase one online. There's very inexpensive cable hooks that you can get on Amazon. I'll actually leave a link in the description of this video to one of the ones that I recommend. It's very inexpensive and it'll help manage the cable a little bit better. So for now, you're just gonna, I guess, drape the cable around the unit like that, and then you can take the cover. The connector does come with a nice rubberized cover. You'll take that off and attach it to the connector holster. Now, if you watch this channel, one of the things that I usually comment on is whether or not the connector holster is backlit with like an LED, because in some dark garages, if it's being installed outside, sometimes it can be troublesome to actually get the connector into the holster. It might take you a couple of attempts. It's just kind of like a nuisance that you don't need to deal with every day. So the EV700 actually has a good solution for that. Let me plug it in now. And if you notice, I'm plugging it into a NEMA 650 outlet, because the EV700 comes with a NEMA 650 plug. Most charging stations today come with NEMA 1450 plugs, but the EV700 comes with a NEMA 650. Now, if you have a NEMA 1450 outlet installed in your garage already, you can get an adapter, and that will go from 1450 to 650. I don't love using adapters full-time all the time. You know, you can use it if you buy a good high-quality commercial grade adapter. I guess you'll be fine. But if you think you're going to be using this for many years, it wouldn't cost that much to swap the NEMA 1450 out with a NEMA 650. You don't have to change any of the wiring or anything. You could just simply buy a new outlet and replace it. So see what happens when we plug in. I have my LED light ring around the connector holster. This is something that I always kind of complain about when charging stations don't have any type of backlight for the connector holster. I really love to see that. It's one of those things that you don't realize you need unless you have an electric vehicle and your charging station's installed somewhere where it's dark. And then you realize, yeah, this is kind of a pain finding that exact spot to plug it into every night. And I've had many of my followers comment and tell me the same thing. Say, yeah, God, I wish it had a little LED light. All charging stations should have a lit connector holster. Well, the EV700 does have a nice circle of LEDs around the connector holster. The EV700 is a level 2 charging station, meaning that it needs to be supplied with a 240 volt source. It is a 32 amp charging station, can deliver up to 7.7 kilowatt to your electric vehicle. Now that's going to be good for somewhere between 22 and 32 miles of range for every hour that you're plugged in, depending on how efficient your electric vehicle is. It comes with the industry standard J1772 connector. This connector can charge any electric vehicle sold in North America, including Tesla vehicles. Now, Tesla does have their own proprietary connector, which is here. This is the Tesla connector. As you can see, it's quite different from the industry standard. All other electric vehicles, except for Tesla vehicles, use this connector. So if you have any electric vehicle other than a Tesla, this will plug right into your electric vehicle. But if you do have a Tesla, Tesla provides all their customers, this comes with the car. It's a J1772 to Tesla adapter. And basically, this slides on the end of the J1772. You plug that into your Tesla. So the EV700 will charge Tesla vehicles also. The enclosure here is a NEMA 3 rated enclosure, which means it's good for indoor and outdoor use. It's actually a pretty neat enclosure. It's steel painted, and it has a locking mechanism on the side of the unit. It comes with 2 keys. You can open the unit, take a look inside if you'd like. The only thing that is a little concerning to me is there's no automatic shutoff switch. When you unlock the unit, it is still live. So definitely unplug it before you open that up to touch anything. And even after you've unplugged it, there still can be some power in there for a little bit. So let it sit for a little while before you open it up. There is also an emergency shutoff switch on the side, which is really unusual for level 2 charging stations. DC fast chargers that are out in public have these emergency shutoff switch. It's really the only level 2 charging station that I've seen that has it. It's a neat feature to have. It's just an additional safety feature. If there's any kind of problem going on with your car or the charging station, you can press that red button on the side and it will shut power down. It is TUV approved. It doesn't have UL approval, but TUV Rhineland is the equivalent of a UL approval. It's been safety certified by TUV, so it is a safety certified charging station. On the website, it says that there is a 1-year warranty for the unit, but I spoke to TurnOnGreen, and they said that as of this month, they're upgrading that to a standard 3-year warranty. It has a 18-foot cable standard. Now that's a little bit short. I don't like to see anything less than 20 feet standard, but they do offer an optional 24-foot cable if you would like to purchase it. I highly recommend you really considering that, because you may not need the extra length today, but then you'll find at some point in the future you do, and you really cannot extend the cable. Once you bought it, you can't upgrade it and put a new cable on it. It wouldn't be cost effective. So consider paying a little bit extra and getting that 24-foot cable. It's going to get dinged in our charger rater for having less than a 20-foot cable. And speaking of the cable, from now on when we do our charging station reviews, we're going to be measuring the thickness of the cable. One of my followers left a message when I did our last charging station review and said, hey Tom, go out and buy yourself a micrometer. They're not that expensive. And instead of just telling us this is a thick cable, this is a thin cable, tell us exactly how thick it is. That was a great suggestion, so I went out and did it. And this cable is on the thin side. It is 0.64 inches thick, which is 16.3 millimeters thick. Not bad thickness for the cable. It's actually one of the thinner cables that we've tested for 32 amp charging stations. The EV700 retails for $620, and it's available both on the TurnOnGreen website and on Amazon. But there's currently a special on Amazon with 10% off. So you get $62 off if you buy it while the deal still lasts. It only costs $558 currently. Again, I don't know how long that's going to last, but that's what it costs today. And at that price, I think it's a pretty good deal. Next up is our cable deep freeze test. Last night, about 14 hours ago, I put the EV700 in this freezer. This is a deep freeze freezer. It gets as cold as 20 below 0 Fahrenheit, so it really freezes the units. We do this cable deep freeze test to show people how well the cable performs when it's very cold out. If you live in a northern state or Canada, you have to mount your charger outside. This is really important. You could see how well it's going to bend and how easy it's going to be able to plug and unplug the vehicle every day when it's really cold out. First, let's take a look at how cold it is inside there. All right, negative 15 degrees Fahrenheit. So yeah, as I said, it's super cold in there. Now let's take the unit out and see how the cable performs. As you can see, I always loop the cable up in tight loops, then I'll cut it free, and we'll see how willing it is to return to larger loops. Okay, so it's pretty frozen. See when it's coiled up like that? That's not ideal. You'd prefer if this would now just to start to dangle and not hold that form like that. Some of the cables we have are able to just almost immediately be nice and flexible. The ChargePoint Home Flex is actually our best cold weather cable that we've ever tested. And this isn't the worst, but it's not great. And it's not going to lose a point because let's see how we can wrap it up, nice large loops. So it's not going to lose a point, but it's not going to gain any points. I think part of what's helping it is that it's not a terribly thick cable, so you can overwhelm it. You can bend it and make it go the way you want it to go. It doesn't do it on its own, but you know, you can negotiate it and use it, so it wouldn't be too difficult to use in a cold weather environment. So for that reason, we're not going to give it any, we're not going to take away any points, but it's not going to get any extra points for, you know, an excellent cable, which it's not an excellent cold weather cable. It's passable, and you could use this outside in cold weather areas, in my opinion, but it's not the best cold weather cable, not even near to the top of the best weather cables that we've tested. Okay, so we just completed the cold weather cable test. The unit is still pretty frozen. I know you probably can't see it, but there's ice over the top of the display screen. I plugged it in and it works just fine. Everything's good with the unit, even though it's negative 15 degrees Fahrenheit. And now we're gonna do the connector drop test. One of my followers had a good suggestion and said that I should do the connector drop test right after I do the cable deep freeze test. So the connector is still very cold and frozen, which it is. There's still even some ice on the surface of it. And that's a really good idea. I used to do this when the connector was room temperature, but hey, it would even be more brittle when it's frozen. So I'm going to start doing the connector drop tests right after I do the cable deep freeze test, so the connector is really cold. So let's do it now. What I've been doing now with these connector drop tests is I'll drop the connector 5 times from about 4 or 5 feet in the air, just to make sure it's pretty robust and doesn't break. This is a concrete floor, so let's start this now. A little higher for good measure. right. Okay, everything's fine. No scratches, no dings, nothing. Now this is a Ducita J1772 connector. It's one of the more popular ones made today, and I figured this one was going to do okay because it's a well-known connector that is used by many brands. Some of the really cheap new EVSE that's coming out that are super low cost, not safety certified, they have these like really cheap plastic connectors that I'm sure when I eventually get around to reviewing them, some of them are going to break because I swear it feels like I could just break it in my hand. But the EV700's J1772 connector passes the connector drop test. The unit has a touch screen display that's 3 3/4 inches wide and a little more than 2 inches tall. And on that, you get to see the current amperage that's being delivered from the charging station, the line voltage that's connected to the station, the time of the current charging session, the amount of kilowatt hour that has been dispensed during this specific charging session, and also the temperature of the unit. And in the lower right-hand corner, you can see the maximum amperage that you currently have the unit set to deliver. The display screen also allows you to change settings in the unit. Settings like restricting the amount of power it delivers. It can deliver up to 32 amps, as I said, but you can set it to go all the way down to deliver only 6 amps if the circuit you're on cannot deliver the full 32 amps that the station is capable of delivering. Now, remember, you can only deliver 80% of what the circuit you're on. So if you want to deliver the full 32 amps, you need a 40 amp dedicated circuit. If you only had a circuit that could deliver, let's say 24 amps, you'd have to derate the unit down to 20 amps. But this gives you the opportunity to do that either through the touchscreen or in the app. Now, it is a Wi-Fi connected smart charger, but that's a broad term. Different smart chargers have different functions. So talk a little bit about what the EV700 has. So in the app, which you can connect either via Bluetooth or from a Wi-Fi connection. Now, why would you want a Bluetooth connection? The reason that's important is because this unit is made for residential use, but also for public use, for apartment complexes and different public areas. Quite often, public parking is in garages, sometimes they're even underground. They don't get Wi-Fi signals, and that's a problem with being able to restrict who uses the unit. If there's no Wi-Fi connection, if it's a Wi-Fi connected charging station, you really can't use the Wi-Fi option. So having that ability to connect via Bluetooth allows these to be installed in parking areas that don't have any Wi-Fi service. Now, you can use the connection from via Bluetooth. The only thing that I found out was while it connects very simply, as long as you're in the area of the unit, you just simply open up the app and connect the station and it connects perfectly. You can plug in and charge your car. The only problem is when you leave that area, it loses the connection. Now, it doesn't matter, the car will keep charging, you just need it to initialize a charging session. But every time you come back, you've got to open it up and reconnect it to the charging station. It only takes a few seconds, but with a Wi-Fi connection, that doesn't happen. It maintains the connection to the device and you don't have to keep initializing that. So you can use it via Wi-Fi or Bluetooth. And in the app, you can restrict usage. And as I said, this is really important for condo complexes and other multifamily dwellings. You can set it so that you can turn on the charging station through the app only, and also one of the 2 RFID cards that they give you with the station. It comes with 2 RFID cards, and those are really neat that you can use those to initiate charging sessions. And also you can have it set to automatically charge your car, and that's unrestricted. You would have that if it was in your private garage, and that's what it's set to default at. And you can have it set to unrestricted and also through the app. So you can either turn it on through your app or from the, just have it unrestricted. Now, when you use the app, you can start and stop charging sessions. It doesn't keep charging session records, which is a little unfortunate. I like to have your app tell you all your previous charging sessions, give you the data, how much energy you used. Currently, the app doesn't do that. The app is available for both Android and Apple phones. And within the app, you can set passwords and limit the charging current just like you can do from the touchscreen on the unit itself. And you could also set charging scheduling if you have a time of use plan and want to take advantage of low off-peak electricity rates. The LED ring has 3 colors: blue when the unit is not being used, solid green when you just plug in a vehicle, and then it turns blinking green while the vehicle is charging. And red means that there is some kind of a line fault or you've pressed the emergency stop button. Well, that's the review. All that's left is to give you our ratings. And the first thing we do in our ratings is the Charger Rater, our point-based system with 5 different categories. Now, one thing I need to note, the first category is cost and value. And up till now, we had always based it on the base price of a $500 charging station. And for every $50 more or less, the charging station either lost or gained points. We started doing the Charger Rater 2 years ago, and $500 was a decent price. Might even have been the average price for a good charging station, but times have changed. We're bumping it up to a $600 base cost. And I know that's unfair to some of the units that we've already tested and rated them. So what we're going to be doing over the course of the next year is taking some of the more popular units that we have reviewed in the past and updating those and putting out new reviews. So let's take a look at the Charger Rater for the EV700. First up is the cost and value category. And in that category, it starts out with 15 points and it ends with 15 points. That's because with a base price of $620, it's not $50 more than the base cost that we're using in this category of $600. So it gets 15 points in the cost and value category. Next up is power and weatherproofing. It scores a total of 15 points in that category. Construction and durability, it gets 17 points. In smart and non-smart, it gets 20 points. And in the final safety, certified, and warranty category, it does get 17 points. I gave it the 2 extra points for the 3-year warranty because TurnOnGreen told me that that is going to be the policy moving forward, although, as I said, it's not currently saying that on the website. So that gives the EV700 a total score of 84 points on our Charger Rater, and that translates to 4.2 stars out of 5. Now, I always factor in my own personal score because there are things about the charging stations that you just can't quantify with points. I like this unit. I think with some tweaks, it can be an excellent unit. My personal score is going to be 4.6 stars out of 5, and it's going to average out to a total score of 4.4 stars out of 5. I like the EV700. And I think with some minor tweaks, it can be an excellent unit. Number one, it needs a longer cable. 18 feet is just not long enough. It should have a standard 22 to 24 foot cable for certain. Number two, it needs cable management. I don't like just draping the cable over the unit like this. It should have some type of a hook to manage the cable. And if you don't want to integrate it into the unit itself, just supply your customers with a little metal hook that they can put on the wall. Can't cost more than $1 to buy one of those and just put it on the wall next to the station. That should be included in the box with the unit. I'd also like to see some improvements to the app and some more functionality, including some of your past charging history. I think that would be a good idea. I would also like it to be Energy Star certified. It currently isn't, but TurnOnGreen did tell me that they are going through the process of having it Energy Star certified, so it should have that in the future. It also should be able to power share. Currently cannot power share between multiple units, so that's something that we'd like to see. I mean, if they added all of those type of features to this, it would be a very good charging station. As it is right now, it's good, and it's a recommended charging station on State of Charge. We would recommend buying this unit. I think it's a good unit at a decent price, and I really like the fact that you can manage the station, you can have it so that you need either an RFID card or an app to activate a charging station. We need more charging stations that can be used in public places like multifamily dwellings and condos, places in public where you can't have unauthorized use of it. There's not enough chargers out there that allow the property owner to manage the stations like that. And this is definitely a good addition for that use in particular. I mean, I think it's a good charging station if you're going to use it for home use, but it really has the capability of really being a very good charger for people that have public charging in public parking lots and need to have some sort of restriction on who uses them. Well, that's it for our review today on the EV700. If you like what we're doing here on State of Charge, don't forget, click that subscribe button and ring the notification bell so you don't miss any upcoming content, and thanks for watching.